Всем привет! Вы на канале Дмитрия Демчука, и сегодня мы берем интервью у Марка. Марк решет, он владелец хеликоптер Центр. Вот будем у него брать интервью. Вот, can you tell me please how you start this business?
All right, we started the business about 6 years ago, in 2017, and we started off with one R22 helicopter. It was myself and another instructor, and as the years went on, we slowly built the school up, got more and more students, and now we're sitting with 6 helicopters, 3 R22s, 2 R44s, and an Alouette helicopter.
Okay, yeah, wonderful, wonderful. And could you explain for me the way when you start flying helicopters? It was young age, and how was it?
So I started flying helicopters when I was 20 years old, in 2010. So I've been flying for 14 years now. And whilst I did my private pilot's license, and whilst I was busy doing my commercial pilot's license, at the same time I did my instructor's rating. And my first job was as an instructor, and I worked up in Johannesburg. And after building a little bit of experience, I ended up coming back down to Port Elizabeth, working for a charter company. We did a lot of game capture, surveying, and then I ended up back to instructing again.
Okay, yeah, interesting. Perfect. And just want to ask, maybe your parents' innovation or some relative innovation as well? Or?
No, not at all. I'm the first one in my family to start flying. There was no previous pilots. My parents never flew, but it's something that I've always been interested and passionate in. And when I first told them I wanted to fly helicopters, they were a little bit skeptical about it because they didn't know much about it. But after doing a little bit of research, I realized it's a career that I really enjoy. And yeah, eventually after a bit of convincing, they became quite supportive of the idea.
Oh, okay, wonderful. It's interesting. Yeah, because my interesting innovation, I grew up in innovation town in Russia, in Zhukovsky, and yeah, and I made some small models, small airplanes, and even small helicopters with radio control, and yeah, I think it was interesting. Can you tell me a bit about your childhood? What, how it like in South Africa? Because it's interesting for Russians, I think it's different. And
Okay. I was actually born in Swaziland, which is a small country right next door to South Africa, but it's basically within South Africa. But from the age of 14, I was in high school in South Africa. I thoroughly, yeah, I've loved every minute of it. It's been great, and I've been in South Africa since 2004. So I think you could probably call me a local. But yeah, growing up, I was also interested in model helicopters and yeah, the normal childhood. But always had an interest in trying to get my hands on aviation magazines, and yeah, just get more and more exposure to it, and absolutely loved it from there. But yeah, I'm obviously a big supporter, and absolutely very patriotic. I love South Africa. It's a great place to live, great place to raise children. So yeah, it's lovely.
yeah, I think yeah, lovely place. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, when I come to South Africa, I just got 2 kids, and now got 4 kids in South Africa. Yeah.
Multiplying them.
Yeah, and what's your plans for future?
So our 5-year goal is we started with one helicopter, and now we have a fleet of 6 helicopters, and in the next 5 years we want to try and grow that to 10 helicopters, and diversify a little bit more into more of the charter work, into survey work, and possibly expand into Africa, doing more long line and utility work. At the same time, constantly growing the school, more and more students, more instructors. So that's the 5-year plan.
Oh, okay, wonderful, interesting. And what type of helicopter you plan to buy next 5 years?
So the next helicopter we would look at would be the AS350, the Squirrel, just because of its robust.
Commercial.
Yeah, for commercial operations. So a lot of the guys, when they finish a commercial license, the big helicopter they end up with is a Squirrel. So we want to include that in their training towards a CPL, and then also start doing more utility work with it, possibly a little bit of firefighting, especially for the fire seasons we have done here. They're becoming more and more popular and replacing what used to be the Huey. So it was always the Hueys doing firefighting, and now it's becoming more job for the more modern Squirrels. So that's where we want to position ourselves.
Okay, yeah, interesting. And Next question. Yeah, I know you're a father now.
Yes.
and What do you think your daughter also will be in aviation or?
I definitely think she will be. She's obviously growing, still a young baby now, but she's going to be growing up in the flight school amongst the helicopters. So she's free to do whatever careers she wants to, but I'm pretty confident she'll end up as a pilot and in aviation, especially with my wife. Her mom also flies helicopters, also an instructor. So I definitely think there's a very good possibility that she's going to be the next pilot. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah, it will be like a dynasty.
Yes. Next generation. Yeah. New and improved.
Next generation. Do you plan more kids? Much?
Yes, definitely plan more kids. So that we've only had our first one 7 months ago. But definitely the plan is to have a number of
Next 5 years.
yeah, maybe not as many as you, but definitely more.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah, 100%. And maybe we can go around. You can show the school for us and helicopters.
Yes,
outside.
absolutely. That sounds like a good idea.
Okay, yeah, let's go.
Perfect. Okay, cool. So we're based down here in Port Elizabeth. This is one of our aviation maps. We're on the southeast coast of South Africa. Very nice airspace to train out of. It's an international airport, so we've got exposure to Boeings from day one. Controlled airspace, so we're dealing with clearance, tower, and approach. So when the guys qualify, they're confident with talking to the air traffic controllers. And I find a lot of pilots who train at smaller airports where they're not dealing with air traffic control on a day-to-day basis really struggle with the radio work, and it's a bit of a barrier to get them over. So what we do is on the first flight that the guys get here, we get them to start talking to the tower, and they overcome the hurdle nice and early on. So yeah, you can see we're based here in Port Elizabeth. We've got controlled airspace 50 miles around us, and then for the long flights, we take the guys up to East London where they also get controlled airport exposure. And then yeah, there's just a few bits and pieces that we use as our instructor and training aids.
Can you explain for me what's the process and what's helicopter available and something like that? Some small things about the school.
Alright, so the process is most people who start will start with 0 previous training experience, and they'll enroll for a PPL, a private pilot's license. The PPL is a minimum of 50 hours training. When the guys have achieved the PPL, which may not be 50 hours, it could be 60 or 70 hours, they then begin the hour building phase of their license. And the hour building phase is a fun part of the training where they can take the helicopter and they plan their flights, they can take their friends flying and fly to various locations that they've planned. And then once they start approaching the 200-hour mark, we will do a night rating with them. Some of them will choose to do an instructor's rating, and then they're eligible to test at 200 hours for their commercial pilot's license. Once they've got their CPL, they can then start working as helicopter pilots and in various sectors. So a lot of them will start with anti-poaching. Others will do an instructor's rating and begin their instructing journey with us and other schools. And some of them go straight to vehicle tracking. And then from there, when they've built a bit of flight experience, they can end up
anti-poaching in private game reserves or something.
Yeah, there are a few guys that have gone to work for government contractors as well for the big national parks. But a lot of the guys will end up doing anti-poaching and game capture. A lot of anti-poaching for the rhinos. They get involved in darting of the rhinos so that they can dehorn them and microchip them just to help prevent with the poaching that's a huge problem in South Africa.
Yeah. I feel about this problem.
And then I'll show you the helicopters that we operate. So as I mentioned earlier, we've got 6 helicopters that we operate. But we do for charter purposes use other helicopters. So this is the board tracking all the machines that we're responsible for and available at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. And how many helicopters? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. About 20.
So there's about 20 helicopters that we don't necessarily own. They might be owned by a private owner, and we'll do training for that owner on their helicopter. And there's a few helicopters on here like the Bell 407 and the Eurocopter 120 that we do a little bit of training on and charters on as well. So although we don't own them, we still have access to them as part of the fleet.
It's wonderful. Yeah. Very more for passengers. For guys.
Perfect. Should we take you for a tour?
Yeah.
We've got some studious students working hard there.
So some lessons and some documents. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is all our approvals from the Civil Aviation Authority and the Department of Transport. We've got 2 licenses. We've got a training license and we've got a charter license, each of which have certain subcategories that we've got to constantly audit, and we get approvals for on an annual basis from the South African Civil Aviation Authority. And it's a requirement that we display all our documents so the guys can see that we are current with all our paperwork.
Okay, it's necessary for operation.
Yeah. So here we've got our student solo plaque. So every time a student does their first solo flight for the first time, then we have a little celebration. It's a big milestone, a big achievement, and they get issued a plaque, and they each get their plaque put on the wall. So it'll be here forever. So we've got this first wall,
yeah.
and
Wonderful.
then second wall here.
After 10 years, it will be all.
Yeah, all. Let's get another building. And then when the guys pass their commercial license, they then get a photograph and the date and name stuck on the board. So you can see our first students that got their commercial license, which they got at 200 hours, and we put them on the board so that they will sit here forever.
Yeah, 2018.
Yeah.
Tula, she was the first commercial.
She was one of the first commercial students. Yeah, we did have a few guys before that.
Okay, yeah.
We only started it late in 2018.
Yeah, Andrew got commercial, but somewhere.
No, he did his yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He did his commercial license with us. Yeah. Yeah.
I think he is one of first as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Also one of the first guys that we got through the course.
Okay, yeah, interesting. Maybe then we see classes.
Yeah, absolutely. Come through. So this is our first lecture room here. If you come through. So this is where we host the ground school lectures and briefings. So a lot of the guys, especially in the evenings, will do night training, and we have all the night classes and all the lectures get formed on the whiteboard and projector here to get the guys through their exams. There's 8 exams in the course, and a lot of them are a lot more beneficial if we offer training and night classes for all the courses.
What's this big book? Yeah.
So this is our aeronautical information publication. So it's just all the airports and procedures in South Africa that the guys have to learn, and it's part of their law procedures if they fly to a new airport to familiarize themselves with each airport.
First of all, to find out more information about all airports in South Africa.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So this is the subject that they're practicing here is navigation. So we're using different formulas to help the guys interpret the non-directional beacon on the map. So before GPSs, we used to, and to a large extent aviation is we still use VORs and NDBs. So this is just the codes to help the guys plot their position if they didn't have a GPS on board. If their GPS fails, then this is the backup system to navigate with. So the guys write an exam on this. And it is quite tricky in the beginnings, but after a few classes, the guys get quite familiar with it.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah. Okay. Okay, makes sense. Thank you.
Perfect.
Let's go to see.
You want to see some of the choppers?
Yeah.
Another function, another lecture room in there. Meeting's office. Cool.
Our bus. Maybe can we see toilet?
Yeah. Hopefully there's no one inside there.
The funny notice about Dr. Collins.
Okay, yeah. You guys can fill the toilet. Never had that face before. You're welcome.
Здесь на туалете написано, что если вы описали унитаз, то написано if you pee on toilet seat, clean it. We will rinse simple to Dr. Collins and track you down. Найдем вас. Hey, Mark, could you please explain for us a bit what's the main helicopter for training, Robinson 22?
All right, so most pilots that do their helicopter license around the world will train on the Robinson R22 helicopter that we've got here. It's a 2-seat piston helicopter, and from the R22 the guys will normally do their PPL, and at a later stage they'll upgrade to the 4-seater Robinson 44. But for a cost perspective, this works out to be quite a lot cheaper for their initial training and our building, and then they can upgrade to the bigger helicopters later.
Because the money, it's cheaper.
It's cheaper, and then once they're qualified in this, if they want to fly any other helicopter type, it's only a 5-hour conversion. So if the guys are qualified on the 22 and they want to fly the 44, it's 5 hours conversion. If they want to fly the EC-120 or the Squirrel, the Alouette, it's only a 5-hour conversion. And then they rate it on the different types of
even
helicopter.
turbine rating, yeah.
Yeah, 5 hours for your initial turbine rating.
Okay, yeah, wonderful. Interesting, yeah. But most popular in the world, I think, Robinson 44.
Yeah, the 44, the bigger sister, it's the 4-seat variant. We can go have a look at one of those. It's the most popular helicopter, a civilian helicopter in the world, which is just basically a stretched R22. The little bit bigger engine, bigger blades, and a lot more performance and speed.
Okay, yeah. Maybe let's see.
So here we've got the bigger 4-seater Robinson R44 helicopter. As you mentioned earlier, it's the most popular helicopter, civilian helicopter in the world. So a lot of the pilots will train on the 22 and then move on to the 44. If the student weighs more than 109 kilograms, then they're too big for the 22. Then they will start with their training in the Robinson R44 helicopter, which has got a maximum seat weight of 136 kilograms per passenger pilot in the helicopter.
Yeah. We do such a big students.
Yeah, we do. we do get students that are too big for the R22, definitely. Not often, but if that's the case, then they'll have to start their training on the bigger 4-seater helicopter.
One big seat in the middle.
Yeah, it is a much nicer machine to fly. It's got hydraulics. It's a lot faster, a lot smoother than the 22. So it's quite a treat to do the training in the Robinson 44.
Можем посмотреть внутри.
Your EC-120 helicopter, we've got a max takeoff weight of 1,715 kilograms. At sea level, it's got a VNE, a velocity never exceed, of 150 knots. So that's the maximum allowed forward speed, which works out to about 280 kilometers an hour. However, we typically cruise at about 110, 115 knots, which is close to about 200 kilometers an hour. So that's our cruise speed. If we're into the wind, it's a little bit slower, and if we've got the tailwind behind us, then the ground speed can be substantially more. So it's a little bit faster than the Robinson 44, and obviously with the turbine, it's a lot smoother. The nice thing with the turbine engine is that the engine has a longer useful life. So this turbine lasts 3,000 flight hours, whereas on the Robinsons, we have to overhaul the engines and machines at about 2,200 hours. And then another advantage of the EC is that we've got composite blades, so the blades don't have to be replaced every 2,200 hours as they would for a Robinson helicopter, where we have to put
much useful and cheaper for maintenance.
Absolutely. With the Robinson, if the blades are 12 years old or 2,200 flight hours, they have to be decommissioned. They actually cut them up and put brand new blades on, which is quite expensive, whereas we don't have the same restraint on this helicopter.
The same rule is for inspection like a Elevate, yeah, for this one.
It's a different company that does it, but it's the same hours, 100 hours between your mandatory periodic inspections. And every 5 years you have a big 60-month inspection where they take the machine apart, inspect it for corrosion and reassemble it. And you've got a certain amount of cycles on the turbine that you're allowed flying on. So the maintenance is quite different to the Robinsons. Definitely more expensive to run and maintain, but you've got the increased turbine reliability and benefits. So for the guys looking at getting, normally the guys will have a 44 and then at some point upgrade to an initial turbine, and especially at sea level the ECs are a very nice fit, especially for the view.
Next level upgrade, yeah. Much smoother and much faster actually.
Yes.
So don't worry about tailwind.
Absolutely. So with the Fenestrom, the shrouded tail rotor, we don't have to worry about people getting out the helicopter and walking into the tail because it's not exposed like the Robinsons and even Squirrels. It's a risk of people around the helicopter.
Yeah, you can walk around even helicopter. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, cool.
Should we go fly?
Yeah. Wonderful. Let's go to fly.
Let me just get all the rest of my crew.
Вот, закончилась наша экскурсия. Хочу сказать большое спасибо Марку. Thank you so much, Mark.
Yeah, a pleasure, Dmitry. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think wonderful airfield, helicopters. Yeah, wonderful weather today.
Absolutely.
Join us. Yeah, thank you, Mark.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Class 8.